Ordering real numbers. 3 friends raced on their bikes to a local park from school. After 2 minutes, Asher biked 3/5 of the path, James biked 83% of the path, and Matteo biked 0.72 of the path. List the names of the friends in order from the closest to the park to the furthest. So we have to figure out how much each person covered the distance from their school to the park. And the one that covered the most is the closest to the park. So let's take Asher here. And Asher covered 3/5 of the path, which is equal to 6/10, which is equal to 0.6. And this is Asher. I'm going to convert them all to decimals to then compare with the same representation, and then compare the biggest number to the smallest number. James covered 83%. So 83% is equal to 83/100, which ends up being 0.83. And that is James. Finally, Matteo, it covered 0.72. It's already in decimal. We don't have to do anything. Matteo. So if we look at all the 3 distances and compare them, so 0.6, 0.83, and 0.72, we can tell that James covered the most. So he's the closest. Then Matteo, as it's a bigger number than 6. And finally, Asher. So to answer the question, the closest rider is the one who biked the greatest distance, and it is in the order of James, Matteo, and Asher. So James, and Asher. Okay, so how do we order real numbers? So here in this example, just to warm us up, we converted all the numbers to one representation, and then based on the type, on the question that it was asking us, so from closest to furthest, we listed them and compared the numbers. So let's just put that into steps and words, because sometimes numbers can be represented in different ways. And what would you do? And what would you look at to compare which number is smaller or bigger? So, ordering real numbers. Step 1, convert the values to the same form. Usually that's converting numbers to decimals or integers. Step 2, if there are irrational numbers, you're going to estimate or approximate. To the nearest tenth or hundredth. So we have numbers here to the right. We have 2/5, 2/5, 75%, the square root of 2, and 0.25. So we will convert them all to decimals first, because we know that the square root of 2 is going to be a decimal because it's a non-perfect square. So 2/5, I'm going to represent that as a fraction, and you can convert it right away to a decimal, or 2/5 is equal to 4/10, which is equal to 0.4. I'll separate it here so we can see the difference. 75% is equal to 0.75. The square root of 2, well, we know that the 2 perfect squares that it is in between is 1 and 4. 1 and 4. And the square root of 1 is 1, square root of 4 is 2. So it's a number between 1 and 2. It is closer to 2. So it's about approximately 1.4, 1.3. If you put it in a calculator, the square root of 2 is 1.41, so 1.4. And finally, 0.25. You don't have to do anything to it. It's already in decimal form. So now we're going to compare and look at these three numbers. These four decimals, and compare which one is bigger or smaller, but we have to look at the question, what the question will be asking us. Okay, so step 3, compare the values you can use. Sorry, compare the values you can use in equality signs. So smaller than, bigger than, you can do this in your head, you can write them out. And then place the values on a number line from left to right. So let's look and use the numbers we just worked with. So 0.4, I'll write them here. 0.4, 0.75, approximately 1.4, and 0.25. So now let's place these 4 digits, these decimals, on the number line. So the smallest number here is 0.25, and it is approximately, or not approximately, but exactly here. Because from 0 to 0.5, that means it's going up by 0.25. 0.25 is here. Then the next number that's bigger than 0.25 is 0.4. So 0.4 is just to the left of 0.5, give or take, approximately here. Then 0.75 is exactly here. And 1.4 will be to the right of 1. Step 4, write the numbers in the order the question asks you. When reading from a number line, if the question's asking you to read from least to greatest, you're going to name the numbers from left to right. If the question is asking you from greatest to least, or to organize them, from the greatest distance to the least distance, you're going to go from right to left. So in this question here, in step 4, it says list the values from least to greatest, meaning you're going to read from left to right. So reading from left to right, the first number is 0.25. The next number is, so another thing is we're going to actually write these numbers here. Okay, so 0.25 is and was 0.25. Now the next number is 0.4, and 0.4 was 2 over 5. So we're going to write out 2 over 5. Then the next number is 0.75, which was 75%, but let's go back and check. Yes, so 0.75 was 75%. And finally, the last number was 1.4, which was the square root of 2. Square root 2. And there you have, you've listed the values from least to greatest. So some keywords to cover, and you'll have other words too. You kind of have to read the question and see what it's really asking you. But in general, some other ways to state least to greatest is ascending, increasing, and minimum to maximum. So ascending, it might ask you to order the numbers in ascending order. It might ask you to order the numbers or arrange the numbers in increasing order, or minimum to maximum. Okay, greatest to least can also be stated as put it in descending order. Decreasing. To minimum. Okay, so let's look at question 1 here. Complete the table below. Use the space to the right to make your calculations. So 0.11 is 11 over 100. And you can't further simplify it. And as a percentage, it's 11%. Let's do the next one. So the next fraction here we have is 7 over 11, which is, if you take, you can either put it in your calculators or you can do long division. So 7 divided by 11, you will get 0.63 repeating. And it will be 63 repeating percent. Okay, so let's do the next question. 0.45 is 45 over 100. You can further simplify that. You can tell automatically, you can divide it by 5, both, which is 9 over 20. And as a percent, this would be 45%. And now here, the last question, 54%. I'm going to start that off in the decimal because that's more basic and direct way of calculating, which is 0.54, or converting. And then you can also place 54 over 100. And you know you can simplify it because it ends with an even number, which can be simplified to 20 divided by 227 over 50. Okay, so question 2. Compare the numbers. So which one's bigger or smaller, 1.35 or negative 1.35? So it is 1.35. Question number 3, 2.3 is greater than. Question 4, 2 times the square root of 5 is greater. And 5, 18 over 25 is greater than 53%. And to calculate like which one is smaller or bigger, you could convert each one first to the same type of number. So for question number 2, they were both decimals. One was negative, one wasn't, hence this one was greater. For question 3, you can convert them to decimals. So 2.3 is already a decimal. So you want to convert 6 divided by 5 to a decimal, which is equal to 1.2. So you're comparing 1.2 and 2.3, and 2.3 is greater than 1.2. And also, you can just by looking at the fraction, it's only 1 and something, 1 and 1/5. You can do it that way as well. So you know you're comparing a 1 whole versus 2 wholes and a decimal, therefore 2.3 will be greater. Question 4, you want to find out and approximate both. Multiply it by 2 will give you approximately 4.47, so 4.5. And the square root of 8 will give you approximately 2.8. So this number is definitely bigger. And then here, 53%. So one's a percent, one is not. However, you can, in this situation, instead of turning them into decimals, you can convert 18 over 25 to a percent. So 25 times 4, you can convert it that way, or put in your calculator as 18 divided by 25, which is 72%, and it is greater than 53%. So question number 4, list the numbers in increasing order. You can turn each number into a decimal and then place it on a number line and place them from smallest to biggest number, which means you're going to be reading from left to right because it's asking you to put it in increasing order. And I hope the lesson was helpful. I hope you have a great day. Thank you.